Hey everybody, my name is Gavin and I love horror. After a decade of waiting, the new installment of the Scream franchise is finally here. I've been a huge fan of Scream since I saw the first one back in the early 2000s. I watched the first one with my dad. We both loved it, and then immediately went and rented Scream 2 so we could watch them together. One of my fondest horror movie memories, bonding with my dad. So the Scream franchise holds a very special place in my heart. I've also gotten to meet a couple of the cast members from the movie who are all very wonderful, lovely people. Love you, David Arquette. Love you, Neve Campbell. And of course, love you, Matthew Lillard. But after waiting a decade for a new Scream movie, was the new film Scream 2022, was it worth the wait? Let's get into it. Before we get started here, I do want to give a big spoiler warning. I'm going to be talking about who the killer is, some of the other twists that may not have been advertised in the trailer. So if you have not seen Scream 5 yet, maybe go see it, then come back and watch my review, and maybe we'll have similar thoughts. But if you have not seen the movie, I'm going to be spoiling pretty much everything here, so maybe wait until you see it before watching this. Being a huge fan of the Scream franchise, I was hesitant when I heard they were making a fifth film because Scream 4, while I really enjoyed it, wasn't that highly regarded by fans. Pretty much fans of Scream, the hardcore fans, really only liked Scream 1 and 2. They hated Scream 3, which is fair. Scream 3, not very good. And they really didn't like Scream 4 either, which I thoroughly enjoyed, but I could see how people could not, or maybe why they didn't enjoy that. But I was excited because I do love the Scream franchise, so I'll see pretty much anything with the Scream name on it. And honestly, I was pleasantly surprised by this outing. It doesn't do a lot of new stuff. It doesn't really reinvent the wheel of what the horror genre did. It wasn't as inventive or as creative as the 1996 original, but it's been 25 years since that movie came out. So much has been done in the horror genre since then that it's hard to really do anything new or inventive in the slasher genre. I'm not saying the movie does not try, because I really enjoyed a lot of aspects of Scream 5, but some aspects did fall a little flat for me. There are a few things I just did not like. One thing I did enjoy though was having the character of Tara survive the initial attack. I thought that was a really good twist on the opening girl always has to die. It was neat having a survivor of that first attack carry on through the rest of the movie. You put her in danger a few more times wondering, is this when she's actually gonna die? So that really kind of raised the stakes for me a little bit. The new cast of teens were all very, very likable. However, I felt they were a little undercooked compared to the teens we had seen in the past in the original movies and in Scream 4. I thought the Scream 4 characters had a lot more personality than the people that were in Scream 5. The main character is Sam Carpenter, who, do you get it? Sam Carpenter, like John Carpenter. Do you get it? You get it. Sam Carpenter and her boyfriend Richie actually get brought back to Woodsboro after her sister Tara is attacked. So that's how everybody kind of comes together. And then we got to figure out, well, who's taking up the ghost face mask this time? Who's killing all these teens in Woodsboro for the fifth time in 25 years? And that's where we bring in the legacy characters. You've got David Arquette returning, Courtney Cox returning, and of course, Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott herself, coming back for this movie. But it's really Dewey who has the most to do in this film, where Richie and Sam go to him and say, hey, what's going on? He's retired from the sheriff's department now. Him and Gail are divorced. It's very, very sad. He's kind of like broken down. It's kind of like that sheriff's one last hurrah, which I really thought was neat for his character. But it was fun seeing him with the teens trying to figure out like who the killer is, because he's been through this 5 times now. So he's able to like kind of pick out who the suspects are. So that was a fun change to the meta of the movie, where they now realize they're in what they called a requel, which is what a lot of Hollywood movies are doing these days with the Halloween reboot. You've got Candyman reboot. So they are acknowledging once again the changing genre and stakes of the horror genre. I thought it was very creative to acknowledge the requel culture that we're in. I mean, we just saw Halloween Kills, which is a sequel to the reboot of Halloween. We just saw Candyman, which is a reboot of that franchise as well. So it's cool that they were acknowledging what Scream was. It also makes sense why this movie was just called Scream and not Scream 5. They actually joke about that in the movie with the Stab series. The kills in this movie were also very well done. It's a lot of knives and stabbings, not a lot of creativity, but they are brutal. There are some brutal kills in Scream. A lot of close-ups of knives going into necks, a lot of stabbing, like not just stabbing like one time, but like multiple stab wounds going into people, and it's all in gory detail. Definitely the most gory Scream movie by far. Also, because it's a requel and they need to like raise the stakes a little bit, one of the legacy characters does pass away. If you have not seen the movie and you're still here, go. Because in this movie, they finally do kill off Dewey. And it was an emotional moment. It was very emotional seeing him get killed in a very gory fashion. And it really made the stakes for me feel high, like anybody in this movie could die. He was the most disposable of the cast, if we're being honest. He had to go out in a heroic way, but his kill, absolutely brutal, getting stabbed twice, bleeding out in the hospital, and then Ghostface saying the line of "it's an honor." That was one of my favorite lines in the entire movie, and I did get a little emotional when he finally did die. But yeah, the kills are brutal. They are very memorable, even if it is just a lot of different types of stabbings. However, there is one aspect of this movie that absolutely does not work for me at all, and it brought it down considerably in my eyes as far as rating it goes. They decided to include that the main character of Sam is actually the illegitimate daughter of Billy Loomis, the original killer from Scream 1. It didn't do it for me, especially because the character of Sam is hallucinating. She's seeing Billy in mirrors. She's taking antipsychotic medicines, but she's still seeing her murderous dad in mirrors and stuff, and that didn't really work for me. If they'd done it once or twice, it would have been fine, but they did it throughout the entire movie with him like, be who you were born to be, maybe it is you being the killer, blah, blah, blah. Is Billy Loomis just your dark passenger? Is this what we're doing? Is this how we're doing it? This did not work for me, especially at the end. So let's go ahead and talk about the ending now and like who the killers are revealed to be. One of the killers is revealed to be Amber, one of the teen friend group, who is like the most itty bitty tiny petite of the group. I'll talk about that here in a second. And the other killer is revealed to be Richie, the boyfriend. What? Not the boyfriend Richie, of course, who Dewey calls out early in the movie as being the killer. So spot on, Dewey, you knew what you were talking about. May you rest in peace. The rationalization for the killers this time is that they both loved the Stab franchise so much and hated seeing what it was turning into. So basically they were talking about like toxic fandom and how they just wanted to give new content by doing these killings to make better Stab movies. So I really like the commentary on the toxic fan culture that we currently live in, whether it be horror, Star Wars, just any kind of fandom. I know people, I mentioned Dexter a second ago, people are mad about the Dexter finale again, even though it was pretty good. I liked it, but the toxic fandom culture that we currently live in, where if you don't like something, you take it as a personal slight against you and feel like you have to somehow correct it. So I really like the commentary on toxic fan culture and how the killers met on Reddit, because if killers are gonna meet, it's gonna be on Reddit. One issue people have pointed out by process of elimination is that Amber is the one who actually kills Dewey, and Amber is the size of this Pringles can. So it's hard to believe that she would be able to overpower a full-grown man and also be able to like lift him up and fillet him. So it bothers me, but it doesn't, because like, yeah, she's not the 6'4" frame that other killers have been, but it is a Scream movie and the kill was pretty great, so I'm not too worried about it. And then some people were disappointed that the killer wasn't revealed to be Stu Macher from the original movie, despite Stu being very, very dead. People are still holding out hope that somehow he survived getting stabbed and having a TV fall on his head. I know that Matthew Lillard has been open to returning to the series, but Stu, in my eyes, is dead. So people were hoping that with all the buildup of the climax taking place at Stu's house, that Stu was gonna be like, I've been the killer the whole time. I just got out of prison and decided to reclaim everything. But I never once thought it was going to be Stu. But for me, the main problem is with Ghost Billy. When Sam finally does take up the knife to kill Richie at the end, you have like Billy Loomis in the background like, yes, you got it. We're gonna do it. We're doing it. Be who you always want to be. I don't like the revisionist history of making Billy Loomis like an anti-hero. He was a murderer who killed his friend, but that didn't really work for me. There's other little nitpicky things I can get into, like when Officer Judy is speeding home to save her son. Like, where are the police? This is Woodsboro. This is the tiniest town in the entire world, but apparently it takes 45 minutes for the police to get to one house. Also, Judy can get killed on her front lawn and nobody notices. Just nobody's peeking out their window. Like, if I hear one bit of yelling coming from my neighborhood, I'm like, what's going on? What? Because I'm a nosy neighbor. So you tell me not one nosy neighbor in Woodsboro is gonna be there looking out the window seeing somebody getting murdered? Not likely. Also, just the theme of hospitals being the most unsafe place in a horror movie. Like, why does Woodsboro, again, a tiny town, have a private floor of the hospital? It's COVID season, baby. We're in a pandemic. You got a private floor for this one girl? I can't buy it. Overall, I did enjoy this new Scream movie. I had a lot of fun at the theater. I can't wait to go back and see it again and see what Easter eggs I missed. I know some people might be going in thinking it's gonna be more like the originals with like the main cast back together, but they really play more of a supporting role, and I was fine with that. Sydney's days have kind of passed, so it was nice to see like the torch actually passed along. So that was a lot of fun. Courtney Cox was Courtney Cox, and she can play Gale Weathers in her sleep, which I don't know. Like, she's not one of my favorite characters, so if she would have gotten killed, I'd been like, oh, not Gale, but would have been fine. But I did have fun with the movie, and if you like the Scream series and aren't too overly critical of the series as a whole, and aren't trying to meet a fellow killer on Reddit, you'll probably have a good time too. But what did you think about Scream 5? Did you enjoy it like I did, or are you one of those angry people on the internet that the movie was actually making fun of? Let me know in the comments below what you thought. I'd love to have a conversation about it. Would you like to see a Scream 6? As always, if you enjoyed this content, go ahead and leave a like below, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe to this channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, stay weird.